Like that slowed me down like a lot.
Yeah, let's kind of talk about the footnotes. We kind of probably already beat to death how we feel about the footnotes, but maybe there's something more we can expound upon. Did you look into any of them to see if any of them were real? And yeah, how did you feel about the footnotes?
I didn't. Anything that was a source to something else, I just took it at face value that, okay, that's a source. Okay, maybe that will make sense later, or I'll have a reason to look that up. And there wasn't, so I'm glad I didn't waste my time doing that. I really was looking for some kind of like, mystery, hidden meaning, message, and it just, nothing grabbed me. So, some of them I was like, oh, okay, here's the translation of this phrase. Like, okay, did the phrase itself have any meaning, really? No. It was, I mean, I guess this book was maybe sort of like, I think it was trying to be like, take a philosophical approach to the Nevinson Report or something, but it just sort of was trying to make a mountain out of a molehill. I don't know, like, or maybe that is the house itself. I don't know, but like, I definitely felt distracted. It detracted, like they weren't necessary. Like, I don't know what, because there was some interview with somebody with Karen, like what that would prove or not prove, or like what was what's someone else's opinion on it. I don't care. It didn't matter. Like, I don't know.
Right.
I was excited at first too, because like, when they had the stuff in there, even about like the story about Echo and stuff, I was like, oh, this is gonna be really cool. So I'm like reading all into that, and no. And then I totally missed any reference to the appendix anywhere, so it was like, didn't bother looking, and I got to the end where the mother's letters were, and I was like, okay, is there something here that's gonna unlock something that's tying Johnny to this story?
And it was just like, context, Johnny's mom is in an insane asylum, and she was writing letters to Johnny, and eventually there was a warden who wasn't letting her write, so then she had to like write in code and send it to a different warden, like a different caretaker, to get her letters sent off.
Right. And actually, there is some cool interaction with the letter. I don't know if it actually means anything. I forgot to go back and look. But on in one of the letters, she mentioned like putting a little check mark like on the bottom of the page where it's not like...
Oh, why was that?
Like you know what? There's a page in the book that actually has a little check mark in the bottom. That's page 97. I don't know if it means anything or what it's for. Like I found the page beforehand, and I marked it down on my notes because I'm like, why is this here?
Yeah, that's so funny.
But I forgot to go back and look and see what it actually, like, that page was even referencing. But yeah, I was like,
SOS. So
yeah, it was in the middle of the SOS pages
letter
were like
that she was writing in code. It was about her being raped.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
Yeah.
So I didn't even get to that part.
I didn't either. I got so far in the letters, and she's like, "Oh, my baby boy, I love you. I love you. Why won't you write to me?" And then she was like flipping on him, like, "You're a selfish bastard," kind of thing.
I'm sorry.
And I was like, "No, I'm sorry. I love you.
Yeah.
Won't you come to me?" And I'm just like, "Okay, this is like
yeah,
craziness." And I was just like flipping, and I'm like, I don't think this is going anywhere. And then it was like, "Oh no, these are just extra at the back." So I'm like, "Okay, she's crazy.
She's crazy."
Like
it was, yeah.
Okay, like I don't need to read every word to see how this is playing out.
Yeah,
but then maybe I did miss that. So
I don't really know how it connects, but
I didn't end up decoding it because I got confused as to how I was supposed to. Like it didn't make sense to me, so I just didn't end up doing it, but which
Yeah.
I don't know how that really relates to
Yeah, no, it
anything
didn't.
either.
I don't feel like it really added anything. But yeah, sorry, I'm just trying to think.
But-
I'm
yeah,
sure
for the
there
most
is a way
part-
you could tie it in, but yeah.
Most of the footnotes just didn't seem useful in any way. Like, yeah, there were some good like quotes in there, and like the editors
Yeah.
being like, okay, yeah, this got fixed or whatever, or like,
Mhm.
oh, hey, yeah, this whole part was, I spilt something on it, so it's, destroyed or whatever. Like, that makes a little bit of sense, but at the same time, it just seemed like, especially on some pages, like where they had like a list of like photographers or
I
like
was actually going to
all the
reference that.
houses.
So I did
I'm like,
actually
what?
look up a few of those photographers because I
Did
was
you?
like, there's a whole page of this. Like, are they,
Mhm.
they can't all be real photographers. And I just kind of randomly went through them, and they are all photographers. And I think all of the ones that I ended up looking up, I think they were all black and white photography too. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but I mean, some of them were just kind of like weird and abstract, but some of them were kind of cool and like showed, I don't know, just like humans doing things. And
Mhm.
but again, it's like, what's the point? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but
Yeah, I just
don't
saw
know.
that list of names and I went, nope.
Yep, like all the
That was-
architects and
Turn the
stuff
page.
like that. I was like,
I think that was early. It was definitely early enough in the book where I was like, I'll give it a shot. I'll look up a couple of them.
And I was like,
But-
oh, good, I don't have to read. I'm done with that chapter.
Right.
Yay.
well, and then it was
Yeah.
like in one of those sections where they were listing names or references,
Mhm.
it was like in the middle of the page in like a contained sort of box.
Square.
And then you flipped it and it was like mirrored on the other
Yes.
side.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, that's cool. It's like you're looking through the page at the
Right.
text,
Yeah.
but there was no reason for that.
No.
Like, I
Except
thought
that
that
it
was
was
going to
cool
go
to do.
somewhere, but
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, and then I did look up one other. I looked up a random footnote at one point, and it wasn't anything. Like it didn't exist. So
oh,
Well, he does say in the beginning
yeah,
of the book.
this is what
everything
Angie was
is
referring
fine.
to.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Yep.
So yeah, and they did warn us in the beginning that some of them wouldn't lead anywhere, but it's like, well, like
Why
if
have
you
'em?
do that, then no one's gonna look up any of them because no one wants
Right.
to waste their time. You
Right,
know?
Especially since there's so many
There's so
of
many
them.
of
Like
them. If
it's
there
not
were-
even like
Yes.
a couple every chapter.
Yeah,
It's
and if
like
there were-
there's like 5 to 6 every single page.
Page.
Yeah.
Yes.
it's like by the time you're done, they're on like footnote like 500 or something
Yes.
crazy.
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
like,
Oh,
Ridiculous.
and not all of
Maybe it's
them are
more than that.
numbered. Some of
Oh,
them are
yeah.
just like symbols.
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
So there's
Yeah.
even more than
yeah.
So yeah, and it's kind of a shame. I kind of wish that, maybe there is someone who like got something out of the footnotes, and like, it's kind of a shame that we're all
went to
feeling
all
that
that
way,
trouble.
and
If you're out there and you've read them, you got something out of the footnotes, put it in
please
the
let us
comments,
know.
please.
Please.
Yes.
Yeah.
Give
I
us
feel
back
like-
some meaning to our time.
I just I didn't get enough out of the book that I felt like I needed to investigate more.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. What do
Like-
you think might have? This is just kind of off the cuff. What do you think might have led us to care about the footnotes, providing the footnotes led somewhere? Like, I don't
think
really
the
know.
story itself needed to be more interesting. I think
Right.
that like the Navidson report itself, like about the movie or whatever, was good. But I think that the fact that there was so much from Johnny's perspective of like what's going on in his life, that it detracted too much from like what was going on there.
Mhm.
And like together, like it just didn't feel like, I don't know, it like wore me out. Like
Mhm.
I just was like, like
Mhm.
it didn't make me feel any more invested in the story.
No. And I think that's part of it, is that they didn't really, for me, go into enough character development from I mean, yes, they had other people describe their interactions with, like, let's say Karen or
Mhm.
Navy, and it's like, but that's not the same as
That's true.
building the character that you actually cared about them.
Yeah, it was too like
Documentary.
Too non-personal,
Yeah.
impersonal. It's like, I don't know. Yeah, there really wasn't a whole lot there that drew me in to care for any of the characters in there. You know, the kids I felt sorry for, and I thought, what kind of mother lets your child play in the middle of a hallway that just opens up? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I
then,
sort of wish they would have like gone in there more or something and like had some more like something more compelling about the house. Like the house was interesting and creepy. They're like, oh yeah, they just like referenced like the film, like, oh yeah, that was on the high 8s and the blah blah blah, and it was kind of grainy, and it's like, I don't know, like the main story, maybe it was just, I mean, I know they sort of told it from the view of it happening, but like that could have, I don't know. I would have just read a story about the house, like as it was happening.
I know. I feel like
that would have been more compelling.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I feel like the most important or most interesting part of the story for me, or the entire book, I mean, is when Wax and Jed and Holloway and Navidson actually went down into, went into the hallway and
into the corridor.
Yeah, like that was really interesting because it was like an adventure, and like, you know, there was I was just thinking about like the growling of whatever monster. Like we didn't even get to learn what the growling was, did we?
No.
Okay.
Not really.
I think they were speculating. Was it the house growing and shrinking?
Oh,
and
yeah,
that was
there was
making
that
the groaning.
Right.
And for myself, I thought, well, there's such distortion. Is that someone lost in the bowels of the house? Running around? Is it some ancient spirit? I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like they're definitely I don't know what would have made me interested in looking into the footnotes. I think if it's somehow related to
like figuring out the origins of the house,
or that's
or the why of the house, or the how,
and maybe
I wondered.
Oh, sorry. No, you can go.
I was gonna say, I wonder too if like we're looking at it the wrong way, and like the book isn't about the house, but it's about Johnny, and like really, like, even though you know what I mean though, like yes, it was about the house, but like really his story is like actually supposed to be in the main story, and the Navidson is basically supposed to be like the filler around it. But I feel like it was the more interesting part.
It was to me too.
So if that's the direction they wanted it to be, well, they kind of failed in that.
Yeah,
because I skipped Johnny's about.
It was just very filled with drugs and sex and alcohol, and just was like.
Well, and he had a lot of fear, and I did like drawing that when something in the house happened, then he started seeing that creature climbing up the stairs from the basement and stuff. I mean, so,
that was interesting. Yeah.
Were they drug fueled? Were they house fueled?
Yeah.
And he had kind of said that the house, I don't want to say pulls you in, but infiltrates your dreams. I think from Zampato's notes and stuff, it was like the house will find you if you read this book or this manuscript. And
I think that in itself, like if I would have actually felt more that way, it would have drawn me in more. But I didn't get that like scary feeling of, oh my God, like something's out to get me or whatever. And like I never had any kind of tinge of fear really from reading the book.
No.
I feel like I did at the beginning. It was kind of intense. Like I didn't have any nightmares from it, but I was definitely getting creepy vibes when I first started reading it.
It's definitely creepy, but
creepy from Johnny's experiences than from the Navidson report.
See, I was getting creepy vibes from the Navidson report because I don't know, like, and there are questions about that too. So maybe I'm spoiling, but yeah, just kind of the idea of having cameras around and like,
Yeah,
you know, the weirdness of the hallway and I
Mhm.
don't know, just like the uncanniness of it is just kind of what gets me.
So I had a thought, and I think it might be on a slide later on the
Mhm.
road, but I feel like this is maybe just a good time to talk about it because
Mhm.
I wasn't really sure where to bring it up.
Mhm.
So originally at the beginning, when Johnny was like, I don't know, seeing the beast or like feeling the
mhm,
breath on his neck or like he got the scratches and then like the scratches on Zampano's floor. Weren't there scratches or something?
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
so like my sort of original thought was like maybe Zampano was the beast in the house. And then I thought, well, maybe because Johnny had his original notes and he was reading them, then like maybe now he was the beast inside the house. And so then I was like, oh, okay, well, obviously the Nevinson report's already been recorded and written about a million times by a million other people, but I'm like, is there some weird tie-in where like he actually is becoming the beast that's growling in the walls, or is he growling in the walls for the people that live there now?
Mm.
Sort of thing. Like,
right.
Mhm.
oh, like I don't know, is there some like weird parallel through the thing happening? And so I was kind of intrigued by
Right.
that.
Mhm.
And I think, you know, I don't know if his mom was schizophrenic or whatever, and I'm thinking
Mhm.
that maybe some of his story is basically he wasn't seeing it, and he was because maybe he himself was schizophrenic, and with all the drugs and alcohol and just sort of
Mhm.
the real nitty gritty homelessness at the end, and like just messed up, like kind of makes me think that maybe there's some kind of, at least maybe not schizophrenia, maybe some kind of mental illness, maybe
Mhm.
like his mom had.
Yeah, that's true.
and and then like what Miranda said, like maybe his story is the main story of like someone going
Going insane.
crazy, but it wasn't actually the house.
There was a point when I was reading his mom's letters that it made me wonder if like she was Karen, if the mom
Oh,
was
mhm.
Karen. I know it doesn't make sense as far as the timeline goes, which is
Oh,
why I dropped the theory, but just the way I'm trying to think of if there's a reference that like I can find quick that made me think that, but um I think it was something to do with like how her earlier life was. Maybe like her husband was, I don't remember.
see, now that would have
Yeah,
been an
I don't
interesting
remember.
tie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but anyway.
So
um
I don't know if this is the time for a question to ask, this one question I have, or if it's later, but Zampatos was blind, correct?
yes.
Yeah.
Was
Yes.
he always blind?
As far as
Mhm.
we know,
Because how could he write notes on the margins and
that's a
stuff?
good
And
point.
I mean, because
Well,
it's not all in Braille. I mean,
Mhm.
otherwise Johnny wouldn't be able to read it. I know there was one place in the book where something was in Braille that I
Yeah.
didn't
mhm.
read. Um, but it just kind of like, okay, if this guy is blind, was he always blind? And when did he write these notes on here?
Mhm.
Well, and I think some of it too, I know, like he had people coming over to read and write for him.
Mm.
Okay,
So I know they were reading to him, and I'm pretty sure that they were actually making notes for him.
okay,
Mhm.
that would make sense. I when they said they were reading stories, I didn't think of them as reading the manuscripts pages
Mhm.
that he had, but that could very well be.
Well, and it could have
Yeah.
been just like stories in general too, but also because I know one of the people that Johnny was having interactions with or whatever was someone that had
Right,
previously been
right,
read for Zampano and like
right,
translated German stuff or whatever. So
right.
Yeah.
Well, good,
Yeah.
that answers
So
my question.
did you guys come up with any reason for why there were colored texts, especially why house was blue? I never caught that. Thank you so much for hanging out with us for our discussion on the House of Leaves. Be sure to stay tuned for more in the coming weeks. Also, remember to come on over to Twitter or Instagram and say hi to us. There you can enjoy some intermittent content, including what we're up to, how our reading is coming along, and general reading inspiration. Let us know in the comments if you've ever read House of Leaves and what you thought about it. Whether or not you've read House of Leaves, let us know what you're reading right now and how you're liking it. That's all for now. Take good care of yourself, and happy reading.